What's up,
What's
everybody?
up?
Welcome back to Love and Rice Podcast with your host, Aunt Ma.
I'm your other host, Christina.
And if you guys are new to this podcast, make sure to subscribe on all of our podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Google. And we're also on YouTube where you can leave some
Instagram.
comments. All right. And also TikTok and Instagram. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Instagram and TikTok. So make sure to
Yeah,
follow us there.
we are everywhere.
Rate us on Spotify if you can, guys. So, on this episode, we're going to be talking about old people stuff.
Old people stuff.
Yes, old people stuff. So, as we get older, there
Mm-hmm.
comes a lot of responsibilities. And we have to think about our parents as they get
Yeah.
older and what happens when they get old. Do we let them live with us? Do we put them in a nursing home? Like, what do we do here? Because we are about that age where those things are going to happen sometime soon.
I feel like this is something that people talk about like growing up because this has always been a topic that has come up within my family at least as to like what we want to do when we get older. And when you're younger too, you're like, oh, you can live with me. And I feel like maybe it's a daughter thing, but it's like you can stay with us, once you're older and like mom, one parent passes away, right? Then you
Right.
can stay with us. Like I'm totally okay with it. And then
I feel like those conversations always happen when you're like 5, 10, 15, 20, right? And your parents bring it up to you, you bring it up to them, and you're like, yeah, you could live with me. But then as you get older, it kind of changes.
yeah, I feel like it usually comes up whenever the kid goes through like a milestone. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I'm graduating from school or I'm getting engaged and I'm getting married. Then what?
Yeah.
So then you continue to bring it up to see like, okay, well, what's going to happen now? Because when these things happen, your life changes, your career goals are different. And the lifestyle is just
Yeah.
completely changed, right? And then you have a significant other that you marry, you have kids. So you have to take all these things into consideration.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, how's the dynamic going to be if I have a parent live with us? And how are we all going to get along? And how's the flow going to be of things?
I mean, so in the Asian culture, they always say the eldest takes care of the parents, right?
Yeah.
But more specifically, the daughter takes care of the parents way better than the son.
Yeah. Usually it would be the eldest or the eldest daughter.
Why girls?
So, what I've always been told growing up was that hopefully you have a daughter first because they're going to be the ones that are going to be the most nurturing. They will take care of you, they will be by your side, and they will understand the dynamic because once they become a mom, they understand how the relationship is from parent and child. So then they're the ones that usually will stay home longer because they want to bond with their parents and spend more time with their parents. Whereas the guys, as soon as they hit like 18 or they're legally able to move out, they just want to get out of the house and be independent.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, my eldest brother stayed home as long as he could. I
True.
think till in his like 30s
And I think that
or close to that.
yeah, that just depends on the person. But for the most part, like the guys are ready to just like move out as soon as they can. And then the girls are usually the ones that will stay a lot longer and have like a closer relationship to the parents, I would think.
I hope so because our first is a girl.
Yes.
She's our daughter. She's the eldest, and I really hope she takes care of us when we get old.
I mean, I feel
You know.
like she will. And also, like, you can kind of see that she's already taking care of Enzo,
Yeah.
our younger son. And she's very nurturing, and I can see it already. So I'm like, she gets very protective of us at a young age. Like,
Yeah.
even between our own family, like, if I'm messing with Enzo just for fun and she doesn't like what I'm doing or saying, or if I'm teasing him too much, she won't even notice, but she'll like turn around and she'll like punch me in the face or something, just like
She does.
a reaction.
Yep. She definitely defends everybody that in the moments.
Yeah.
And I can see that. So out of both kids, Enzo and Leia, who do you think will end up taking care of us when we're old?
I feel like it may still be Leia, and I feel like they both will, but at the same time, I don't know. I think
Who will let us live with them?
I don't know. That's a really
If you had to choose
question.
one kid, who do you think would let us live with them?
Um, I don't know. Like, I don't even know if I would want to live with them when I get older.
You want to go to a nursing home?
I haven't really thought about that.
Well, you rather go to a nursing home than live with your kids.
So what I think is that when we get older, like if it comes down to it where we would have to live with a kid, cool. But like it'd be more so of like, okay, well, do you want us to move in with you because you need help with the kids, or you want us to be around to take care of you, or something happens? But then if it gets to the point where it gets complicated, we have health complications, and
Yeah,
it's hard to take care of ourselves.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. When we're too old and
Then
we need help.
I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't want to ever put that burden on the kids, like to have to take care of us and have kids and have a partner that, you know, they have to like figure things out with.
That's the first I've ever heard of that. Usually the parents just say, oh yeah, please don't put me in a nursing home, let me live with you. But you're thinking about not disrupting their lives. And I think that's the last thing that they think about.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of like you just see how the dynamic changes like once you start a family and you get married and stuff like that, and it can be challenging. So it's like trying to take care of your kids and take care of yourself, and then if you have another parent that has to come in and you have to take care of them. Like I feel like if I had to and our parents got sick and they want to move in with us, like I would be more than okay with it.
Right.
But I know also, like with my parents, and my mom has said it so many times, and maybe that's why I think this way as well. But she was like, you know, when we get older, like, I don't know if we want to go to a nursing home, but at the same time, we wouldn't want to put that burden on you. So, like, they don't know exactly what they want to do. They don't have their mind set on anything just yet. But at the same time, they're open to, like, I don't know, it's like if you have an option to just be able to have like assisted living in like your own home, but then you have like a caretaker that will come to your house to take care of you when they need to, rather than you just like going to a nursing home on your own.
I mean, yeah, that's still disrupting, like, you know, the life of the kids at the house, because now you have people going in and out, nurse and caregivers, and there's a schedule and, you know, things like that. It gets pretty complicated.
Yeah, I think nowadays, usually, I don't know if this is how it is for my grandparents, but they had their own place, and then they have like caretakers that come in like throughout the day to watch over them, but they get to live in their own independent space. They're not in like a nursing home with a bunch of people, if that makes sense. So they have like what do you call it, like retirement apartments and places that they can stay.
So one of my grandmas lived with her eldest son pretty much her whole time in the United States, since they immigrated over. Right?
Yeah.
And then my other grandma and grandpa, they lived in their own house in San Francisco by themselves until my grandpa passed away. And then when my grandma was like 90 something years old, she still lived by herself on her own. I forgot how old she was, 96 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But
and she was taking care of herself
she
too.
was taking care of herself. And you know, her kids would take turns once she got to like the age of like, oh no, it's like they would come by and take turns and stay with her, like 3 days this kid stays with her, 3 days this kid stays with her, like that.
Yeah, so for me, I feel like it really depends on the circumstances when we are older and our health conditions and how much of a burden that I would feel that it would be on the kids, you know, to see which direction to go. But
it was still like her own, she was at her own house.
Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of cool. Like if we were able to live in our own space and do our own thing, and we're still physically able to take care of ourselves, I'd rather do that and then have the kids like come visit, or we come visit, or whatever the case is.
I mean, they still had to cook food. Give her a bath.
Oh,
like,
I see.
She couldn't do those things. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I guess it really. Yeah, I guess it depends. For me personally, if it got to that point, I would want to have our parents stay with us, because if they're like really not able to take care of themselves, like I'd rather be able to see them and see how they're doing and not have to worry about like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the house and hope that they're still good and that nothing happened, that they didn't fall or break something or get hurt and stuff, right? And it makes it easier for us because if they're living in the house, like we can see them and we can go to them right away, like before anything happens. And it makes it more convenient because it depends on how much care they would need. If it was a daily thing, then that would make sense, right? To have them live with you. But if it's like a weekly thing, then like, cool, stay at your own place if that's what you want to do. We'll come check on you every time.
So my whole life, I'm the youngest child, and I always thought, okay, if something were to happen to my parents, they can live with me. Okay, even before we got married and all that stuff, that was just always in my head. Like, I will take care of my parents when they get old. I am not putting them in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Right, because they gave us life. They took care of us for how many years. We need to give back to them, right, and take care of them when they're too old. Like, why would we put them in a nursing home? And so that was always my thoughts and concerns, right? And then when I got old enough and I married you and we started buying homes, every home we bought was to have enough space for a parent if something were to happen, right?
Yeah.
We had an ADU in the back. That was their own separate headquarters. Here in this house, we have a guest suite. That's their own separate headquarters. Like, we plan every house for that future, right? But now it's like, after living away from both of our parents, I'm like, I don't know how comfortable I am with any parent living with us anymore, But if it comes down to it, obviously, if they need help, then yeah, they can stay here.
Yeah, like if they...
Yeah. But I hope that they can take care of themselves and they don't ever have to.
Yeah. So I think it comes down to, if it had to be between either them moving in with us or them having to go into a nursing home, like if we really could accommodate it, I would rather that they stay with us.
Yeah.
Depending on just how sick they are, how much help they need, or whatever the case is. Because you just hear about a lot of things that happen in nursing homes, and it's just, it kind of feels like a little depressing sometimes when you go in there, or people just, I don't know what it is.
Going to a nursing home is just, you're just waiting to die. You're just waiting slowly to die. There's like nothing else to do.
Well, I think a lot of people, I mean, I don't know.
Think about all the old people that get hurt and they're in the hospital.
Right.
And then when they get better and they're released, and they're like, okay, you know what? They need to go to a nursing home now because they can't take care of themselves. And then in a very short amount of time, they pass away. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think in those certain situations, it's because it's come down to that point where there's not much else you can do, and that it's safer for them to have that 24/7 care rather than them being at home and something happens and we're not medical professionals to know like how to handle the situation.
Yeah, I don't. It's crazy. It's like, for example, the things that's going on with my uncle right now, right? So, he went into the hospital, and they have no idea how long he would live for. It didn't get to that point yet, right? He was walking, he was eating a chasiu bao, right? And he's doing fine.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, now he needs to move into a nursing home because he needs attention, right? And it's a rehabilitation center so he can rehab and get better.
Right.
And then he passed away in like a couple days.
Oh, wow.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? So it's like...
Yeah, so it's like an extreme situation where it's like, okay, well, they're gonna need someone to watch over them just in case.
Because even when he went into the hospital, I asked my mom, and I was like, hey, how long does he have to live?
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, we're not there yet. And then in less than a week, he passed away.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, even the doctors didn't know. They thought,
he was going to be fine and recover, and that was it.
Something, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll figure out a plan to, fix whatever issues he had. So that's what I mean. Like, every time someone goes to the nursing home, they start aging very, very fast.
Right.
Their mind, like, I don't know. It's just hard.
And I think it really depends on the parent too, because there are actually like living facilities where it's like a retirement community too. So same thing like what I was saying, like they have all these different units where all the elderly people can live, and then they can come together as a community, do their own thing. It's not so much of like a nursing home.
Right.
So then like those are things that I know about because my mom has mentioned it to me, because we would always try to talk about options for them and what they want to do. Because I've always said, like, we'll figure it out. We'll never put you in a nursing home. We've always said that. Yeah. And they're like, oh, but they have these things and these things. Like, we don't want to burden you. Like, worst case scenario, we can go to these communities and still do our own stuff. Like there's activities
think-
for them to do, friends to make.
So lately, I've been showing a lot of homes to some seniors who are looking for senior communities in
Right.
Vegas, and it's so beautiful. It's like it's 55 and over. Everyone's healthy. They got pickleball courts, tennis courts, indoor swimming lap pools. It feels like a YMCA. They got gyms. You know, like they got like 40 treadmills because that's like the only type of gym work they can do.
Yeah.
You know, they got a dance class, all this stuff, right? And so that's just a senior community where it's kind of like if you just lived in an HOA community, but it's for older people.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. But I wonder if they have a community just like that, but they also have like a team of nurses just there 24/7 for at any time something happens to the old people.
I'm not sure, but
know what
I
I
feel
mean?
like they would have staff on site, or like they would
They have
them
staff
nearby, readily available.
but it's like admin. You know what I mean? It's the person that works at the gym, person that
Yeah.
works at the office. It's not like nurses on call. Like if there were communities where there was just like a department for nurses that were there 24/7, so it's like, someone slips and falls, they go there and help them real quick, but they're not there every day feeding them, changing them, or doing all this stuff. It's just
Right.
if something was to happen.
Yeah, and then I think that's when the caretakers would come in. Like if certain people needed like medical care, they would have their own caretakers that would come in and take care of them. That's a
Yeah.
completely different thing.
So after all this talk, do you still think you want to go to a nursing home rather than putting the burden on your kids to take you in?
I mean, the more that I think about it, I guess I wouldn't. But if it just really had come down to the point where I can't walk on my own anymore, I can't even feed myself, like it's just too much. And
Yeah.
it's like having to take care of like a child or a baby again, like I don't know if I would want to put that on my kids. But at the same time, like if I know I'm at the end of my life and who knows when I'm going to pass away, it's more of like wanting to be able to spend the last few moments with my kids and my family rather than being in a nursing home with like other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough decisions, man. Here, I got a question for you. Which kid of ours, Leia or Enzo, do you think will put you in a nursing home first?
Probably Enzo.
What? Really?
Yeah.
But he loves us so much.
He loves us, but at the same time, he may want his independence too. And even though our daughter, like she can be very independent, she's still not gonna want to put us. I mean, I'm saying this now, but she's still so young. I feel like it would be hard as a daughter to want to even think about considering putting her parents into a nursing home.
I feel like so Leia is like the strong one, right? She's so like, no, I'm not gonna put you in a nursing home, right? And then Enzo's like, no, I don't want to put you in a nursing home. I love you, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I don't know who would put us in one.
Yeah, like we even have these conversations now. Like I have these conversations with her, and she'll be like, "Mom, like I want to stay with you guys forever, until you die." And I'm like, "Okay, well that's really deep." And then it'll be like, "Well, we'll stay with you for as long as I can, and then we'll take you wherever you want. Like you can eat whatever you want. Like I will take care of you guys."
That's what she says.
She says this
Wow.
already, and she's only 6, right? And then that's when Enzo will jump in and he'll say like, "Oh yeah, same." He just agrees with what she says, but I don't think he understands to that extent just yet. And like she'll just like have these random moments with me, and I could just be driving and we'll be going to the store, or I'm picking her up from school, and then she'll start talking about these things, and then she'll start crying, and I'm just like,
Crying
dude,
about what?
like I don't want you to die, like.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I want you to stay with me as long as you can. Like I want you to stay with me until you die. And I'm like, damn.
She does talk about death a lot.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, and I think I was actually the same way as a kid too.
I don't even know where that comes from.
I think it's like the nurturing side and just being a girl. Like you're just more in touch with these type of emotions and feelings and way of thinking compared to like a boy.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, if anyone were to put us in a nursing home, maybe it would be him because he's a boy.
Man.
And you don't think about stuff like that.
I've had the conversations with Leia before. Like I'm giving her a bath and I'm talking to her, and she goes, "Yeah, I want to live with you forever, right?" And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, sh and I'm thinking, a lot of times kids her age are already like, "Yeah, until I'm 21, and then I'm gonna go get married and have kids." But she's like, "No, I want to stay with you guys forever,
Yeah.
and I want to cook for you."
Yeah, and I'll tell her, I'm like, things will be different later. It really, you're gonna have your own life. You're gonna do your own thing. You're gonna have your own kids, and she'll be like, no.
Yeah, I don't,
So
I don't know. I don't know what to think. I'm like, I wish she would live with us forever, but at the same time, I want her to do her own thing.
yeah, I don't want her to feel like she has to take care of us, or that she has to sacrifice her own life already just to be
Yeah.
with us. But I think once she gets older, she'll understand the extent of things.
So I got a question for you. What if our parents were old, right? And they needed to live with us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every day they're with us, and like now we're like caretaking for them. We're
Right.
feeding them, giving them baths and whatever. Do you think that is traumatizing for our kids at this age now?
I don't think so, because I think they would just remember mostly the time that they had with their grandparents, and they love seeing them every day, like even if it's kind of like weird and they see that they're fragile and that they're not able to do as much. I think they just like to see them there because
That's true.
yeah, because that's how I grew up too. Like I grew up with
Trying to help your grandparents, right? Help
yeah,
them walk.
at one point, like we were seeing my great grandmother still.
Yeah.
She was very old and fragile, right? But I would see her and she would try to walk, and she just couldn't do too much at one point. But like I only remember the good memories of like her sitting there brushing my hair, braiding my
Oh,
hair,
cool.
doing stuff like that with me.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I remember. Not so much of the like, oh, she couldn't do this anymore, she
Yeah,
couldn't feed
yeah.
herself and
Because
stuff.
at that time, when as a kid, when you see through your eyes, you're like, let me help them, let me help them. So you don't take it as like, they need help. It's more like,
Yeah.
I can do it for them. Let me help them. I like doing it.
Yeah, and like just talking about it, like I remember little bits of these things, and I just yeah, like I remember she would always braid my hair for me, and I
Yeah.
just have these distinct images of like those moments and stuff. And usually I try not to talk about my great grandmother, because like the the last and one only time that I ever thought about her was
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I was maybe in my like I was a teenager, and I was living in my parents' house, and I just started to think about my great grandma because I missed her and stuff like that, right? And then it was like before bedtime, and I was sleeping, and then I remember I woke up because I heard these like really heavy footprints outside of my room.
Yeah.
It was just like heavy footsteps, right? And I was like, okay, well that's weird. And then I covered myself with the blanket and I tried to go back to sleep. And then I woke up again, and then I saw like my hair clip, like one of those claw clips on my nightlight because my room was dark. And then it was like a claw clip on the bulb of my nightlight.
Wait, I'm sorry. So, what happened to your great grandma?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying, like I usually don't think about her,
Uh
and
huh.
the only time that I did, something like that happened to me, where I was like, was that my grandma that I was hearing? Like, why is this
Oh,
hair clip?
was she passed away
Yeah,
already?
she
Or
already passed away.
oh,
She
I'm
already
like,
passed
wait,
away.
what?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, she passed away when I was like,
I
I don't
thought
know, in junior high
I
maybe.
see. I thought it sounded like she was living with your parents and she came to your room. I'm like, wait, what? So I'm trying to follow.
I
Like,
know, I
okay,
forgot. Yeah,
what's so
yeah.
scary about
Yeah,
that?
because I was just thinking about it, right? And I was like, oh, geez, like I usually try not to think about her because that was
Yeah,
like the one time that I thought about her, which after she passed away, and that
yeah.
happened. So like I'm sweating just thinking about it and talking about it. So I was like, I don't want to talk about her, and then
I
something
knew it.
happened to
I
me
was like,
tonight.
this is supposed to be suspenseful right now. What am I missing here? I'm like, okay, so she walked to your room and put the clip on while you're sleeping.
No, no,
But
no, no. Yeah, she passed away already, and then I just so happened to think about her, and because I missed her, and yeah, like I felt like that was a sign of her coming to the room or showing me that she was there. But I've never experienced anything like that in my life before. That was probably the only time.
my dad told me the same story when his grandpa passed away. He said that he was a little kid and he heard heavy footsteps and he went under the covers
Yeah.
and it went away. It was when
Oh.
his grandpa passed.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like it was a while after she passed already, but it was just like never thinking about her again.
So I've never really had grandparents in my dreams or anything like that, except for one that would visit me very, very weirdly. So you know how they say in the Asian
Mm,
culture, like when you have dreams about people who passed away, that means they're visiting you in
yeah.
the spirit world or whatever, and like it's real, right? That's what they say. So sometimes you have dreams of like you're somewhere with somebody that passed away, but they're in the normal form, right? And you're doing things with them, right? And that's like
Yeah.
them visiting you, right? Checking in on you and whatever. But my grandma, when she passed away, we were living together, right? And I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would see my grandma's floating head going through our wall in the bedroom and peeking
That's
like
creepy.
this. And
That
then she would
is
float away. And I'm like, uh
like, what is the point of those dreams? Because usually when they do that, they're supposed to come in and like it's just their way of communicating with you. But like, why is
Well,
it like,
I didn't feel scared. I just felt like,
yeah,
oh, okay, my grandma was checking in on me, and it's cool
like
that she came
this?
because
I guess.
all my other grandparents and grandmas never came to check on me, but she did. But it
Oh,
was weird that it was just her floating head going through a wall.
yeah,
You
that's
know, that was a
interesting.
weird form, and like,
Wait, was this the grandma that you were the closest to at the time?
I
Cause
guess so. I mean, it
okay.
was my grandma from LA.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that after that, I never had a dream about her again. And I think I
Mm,
had a second one, I don't know, maybe like 10 years later, and the same thing happened. It was a floating head
that's
through a wall, came in to check. Oh, he's good? Okay. And she leaves.
huh.
Yeah.
That's a little creepy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only two times I saw a grandparent after they passed away.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's wild. Um,
I don't know what's worse, your dream or my actual in reality event that happened. I
I
don't think
mean,
I wasn't dreaming like when that
I
happened.
don't know if I was dreaming because I woke up and saw it happen and then I was awake, or I don't know.
Was it happening in the house that you were in?
Like literally, we were living in Doherty at the time,
Okay.
our very first house, and we're laying in bed. And at that time, our house was so small that our bed would be against the wall,
Yeah.
right? And so the wall's right here, and I see her,
Oh, so it
and
was
then
in
I'm
the
like,
house. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
in the house.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like it was just her way of visiting then, because usually sometimes if you have dreams of people that pass away, and it's like in a different house, then maybe it could just be like a memory that's coming back, if that makes
Yeah, but it
sense.
wasn't a memory. It was just literally a floating
She's
head going
visiting
through
us
a
at the
wall.
house.
It was crazy. Yeah. Um,
That's creepy.
yeah. I when you talk about nursing homes and things like that, I remember visiting my great grandma one time,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like 7 years old, and it was such a traumatizing time, a time that I would never forget. A visit. It was like basically I don't want the kids to go to any hospital to see any old person because it traumatized me for life to where I don't like hospitals. I don't want to go into a hospital. It's just creepy, you know.
Yeah,
And so
the vibe just always feels off.
right. So like I went to visit my great grandma. She was 107 years old and she
Whoa.
was in, the bed, the hospital beds.
Yeah.
And it was me and my parents and they took me for the first time because they wanted me to meet her. And so when my dad was trying to talk to her, she didn't know who my dad was.
Oh, that's
Her
so
memory was gone, right?
sad. Yeah.
And so he would say, "Oh, it's me," because she used to take care of him when he was small. And so when she looked at me, she thought that I was my dad at 7 years old,
Oh,
as a little kid still.
wow.
So she kept going to me, like saying my dad's name and like rubbing my face and all stuff.
Mm.
And I'm like traumatized as heck. Like, oh
Because
my
you're like,
gosh,
I
what is
just
going
met you.
on?
You met
Right?
her at
I
one of,
just met her right there.
wow.
And then like 5 minutes later, she'd be like, "Who are you again?" And then we have to explain the
Mm.
story again. And then she'd do it again to me, like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you. Like, where have you
Yeah.
been? And like, she thinks my dad is me as a kid. And she rubs my face again, and then 5 minutes later, again, who are you? And it's like, oh man, I am freakishly traumatized,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that was like the only time I saw her.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess like just thinking about that too, it's like imagine having your parent in like a convalescent home or a nursing home and stuff.
Wait,
And
isn't convalescent home where they pass away? Or what is
I
that
think
same as a
I feel
nursing
like
home?
it's the same, but
I have no idea. We're not there yet, dude. Like,
well, because I just remember my great grandma being at a convalescent home. I don't know exactly what the difference is. Uh, I might look into that after this, but yeah, like it's just kind of like knowing that your parents are there with other older people, and that like they're the friends that they're making there are slowly passing away, and that they have to
yeah,
see that, and just to know that
their
that's
time is
what's
coming.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I don't want them to be around that and like slowly seeing their friends disappearing and stuff. So it's like, how do you not think about death and the end of your life, like just being there?
I mean, that's pretty much what my parents go through right now, right? Like they're healthy, they're living on their own in their own house, right?
Yeah,
And all their friends are like 10, 20, 30 years older than them. So they've been going to funerals like, I don't know,
all the
three a
time.
month for the
Yeah,
last like 15 years.
since I've known them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for the last 15 years, they go to like 3 funerals a month because they hang out with older people, you
yeah.
know? So it's like I don't know. They've seen it all. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
and one thing that our parents and people their age always tell us now, it's like when you're older, stay active, because the moment that you stop and you slow down and you don't do anything, that's when you age the fastest.
That's why when people retire, they really think about actually they don't want to retire. They want to work until they die.
Yeah, or they want to go and do things and explore and travel and do all these things that they couldn't do because they don't want to just be at home and do nothing, because that's when your health like really declines, right? Because
Yeah.
you're not doing much.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's old age is crazy, man, and we are halfway there. More than halfway there, huh?
No, we're not.
Huh? Look
Why
at
are you
almost
always talking so like horribly
I'm talking it's
about
honesty.
we're not more than halfway there. If we live to 100, we still got a long way to go.
Do you want to live to 100?
I don't know. It depends. If I stay active and stay healthy and I'm still functional and can take care of myself, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
But if I'm like, you know, that's why I take care of myself now. And I'm like trying to be healthy and exercise when I can, because I'm like, you know, when I get older, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to put that burden on my husband. I don't
Yeah.
want to put that burden on my kids. So,
You know, we asked my grandma who was like 96, like, "Oh, how do you stay so like active?" Because she could still wash dishes and stuff.
yeah.
Right? She just like, you know, if someone can cook for her, they can cook for her and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
she said that she would wake up at like 3 or 4 in the morning and drink a cup of black coffee
Oh.
and then go back to sleep.
Oh, yeah. They say that having coffee while you sleep,
It probably
like
keeps the
before you
motors
sleep.
going, huh?
Maybe, I don't know, because then they say that it works the best like when you drink it right before you go to sleep and then you wake up, like usually during a nap though.
Maybe she drank it because she's like, I ain't dying today. Drink some coffee, so wake me
That's
up.
like their shot. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe. But usually they say that when you'll get the caffeine rush if you drink it like during a nap and then you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm good, instead of being all groggy and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I don't
maybe
know.
that's what she did.
It's crazy.
I mean, cool, because I'm already drinking coffee. So
Yeah, but you're drinking like throughout the day. Like, I don't know.
yeah, that's true.
It's like your organs are working too much right now.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I always say to like make sure you stay healthier, and especially exercising your joints. That's what I've learned. That's what people have told me, because your joints are what keeps you moving when you're older. So that's something to think about too. Take care of yourself now so you don't have to put that burden on other people when you get older. That's why I'm
Yeah.
always on your ass about everything, because I'm like, you need to do this because I don't want to be taking care of this part of you if you're not taking care of it, or blah, 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 or something happens. And then you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
you want to
yeah,
really
yeah,
do that
yeah.
to your wife and your kids? Like, come on.
I mean, that's the same thing I say to my dad all the time.
Yeah, see, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So
I'm like, you better take care of your diabetes because I don't want to be wheelchairing you around all day,
exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
But all right. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was some real life talk and some old people talk. So I hope you guys.
It's not old people talk, guys. It's a part of growing up, and it's just stuff that you
Yeah.
talk. It's it's called responsibilities.
Yeah, I just know a lot of you guys are families. You guys are older, and I know you appreciate these type of topics. So we try to throw some old stuff once in a while. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys. If you like this episode, make sure to comment, rate us on Spotify. We're on all podcast platforms. Subscribe on YouTube, and talk to us on Instagram and TikTok. And we'll see you guys next time on Love and Rice Podcasts.